Let's freaking go. I'm showing love to the team that shows me the most love on Power Hour SEC, and that is the Arkansas Razorbacks. You see the title of the video. I want to do a schedule analysis of Arkansas, and I want to see if we can actually get to a conclusion where Arkansas gets over the 6.5-point win total. And this is one of the rare scenarios where I feel as if, in the modern day college football, it is always about offense, and your offense needs to be ahead of your defense. And we've seen this just with teams in years past, even schools that we consider to be defensive national championship level schools like Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. Those teams have become more offensive focused compared to the defensive side of the football. But this is a case where Arkansas, you are more worried about the defensive side of the football, right? You have KJ Jefferson returning, but you have a brand new defensive coordinator calling plays for the first time in the SEC in Travis Williams. So we're going to talk about the Arkansas defense. And, of course, I have a bunch of LSU subscribers. The guy that I'm hearing in Fayetteville that's been the best defensive player for Arkansas has been Dwight McGlothern, the former LSU transfer, and he's originally from Texas. So we're going to talk about all of that today. But just right off the jump here, I want you, it doesn't matter where you're watching or when you're watching this, comment down below. Do you believe Arkansas is a lock to go over their 6.5 win total? Let me know. We say hi to Joshua, who's an LSU fan. We say hi to Skipper, who is an LSU fan. We should have a guest coming up pretty soon. My guy, Jacob Scott Davis, will join us for a little bit. But I want to show you all the SEC win totals up on the screen right now. Okay. So as you'll see, when it comes to SEC West schools, Arkansas is actually tied with Mississippi State and Auburn as the lowest win total team in the Southeastern Conference. It's pretty crazy to see that, but that is where we are right now. And for me, I feel as if I am leaning towards the over here for Arkansas. And once again, I will say this, and I thought last year Arkansas' schedule was the most unique schedule I have ever seen, but this one could actually take the cake. Now, I'm not going to call this the hardest SEC schedule, but it is certainly in the top 5 bare minimum. Okay. So, as someone that follows all the SEC schools as closely as I possibly can, I want to go through each and every one of these games. So you would like to think in these first 3 games that you're going to win all of them, right? BYU kind of in a rebuilding phase. They lost their quarterback and their best wide receiver during this offseason. So I would feel Arkansas is going to win all 3 of these games. You compare that to last year's schedule where it was kind of brutal. You had that tough game versus Cincinnati to start things off. So I feel as if Arkansas will start the season 3-0. But if you're going to pick the over, you obviously need to find 4 more victories. So you have at LSU for a season opening game. You would prefer this game to not kick off at night. I will be at this game. So if there's any Arkansas Razorback fans that want to hang out, let me know. But I feel at LSU could very well be a game where Arkansas can give them fits. Now, what's interesting is the last few times Arkansas has played LSU, they have not had good days on the offensive side of the football, and they have gone 1-2 in those 3 games. But still, I would consider this game versus LSU somewhat winnable, but highly unlikely. And then you had this back-to-back road game scenario against a team in Texas A&M that I do like a lot. But if you're going to take the over for the Arkansas win total, I know the first thing everyone points to is these 4 road games in a row. You could see Arkansas go 0-4, But after that, you could see Arkansas winning every single one of these games left on the schedule. Obviously, Mississippi State, that's going to be kind of tough after playing those 4 consecutive road games. But if you were to go around the SEC, normally November is when college football gets tough for teams. Arkansas's probably got the best November of any team in the SEC. You get a down Florida team and you get a bye week before that Florida game, and Sam Pittman will be fired up because he didn't get to coach in the swamp the last time that Arkansas went. So, yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about Arkansas at Florida. And then you get 3 home games to close the year, one versus a non-Power 5 team. And I like I think Auburn's going to be kicking into gear really well towards the end of the season, so that could be a very difficult game. But you get Missouri. I always like that matchup for Arkansas because you get Missouri on a short week. So overall, I really do like where Arkansas is going into next season, and I am leaning towards the over. This team is somewhat deep. This team did a really good job getting some key pieces in from the transfer portal. So I think it's going to be very fascinating to see where they go from here. Okay. And obviously, from an LSU perspective, me playing high school football in Arkansas, I wish that this game was still on Thanksgiving, obviously. So there you go. Now, the one thing I like about this Missouri game, all right, Missouri has a Power 5 game the week before. Normally, the week before rivalry week, a lot of teams have a soft game scheduled for that one, a non-Power 5 game. So Arkansas is going to get Missouri after they play Florida on a short week, okay? And then, obviously, as I drop my pen here, you take a look at the other game that they have versus Auburn. I really like that spot for Arkansas because Auburn, even though they have Vanderbilt the week before, they'll be getting Vanderbilt on the back end of a back-to-back road game. Here's the thing, okay? And this is why I am such a big KJ Jefferson believer. KJ Jefferson rarely plays a bad game. He rarely plays a bad game. In fact, the only really awful performance I could point to last year was Liberty. Now, he did have some games where, the Texas A&M fumble was not good. And, of course, he missed some balls early in that Alabama game that you would have liked back. But there is not a game last year that you could point to where he was just awful outside of Liberty. And that was a game where he didn't even practice. He was hurt. So you're telling me I get the best quarterback in the SEC, okay? And I get a far more favorable schedule than what they had to go through last season. I am loving where Arkansas is on the schedule. And I hate it because right now I'm leaning towards a lot of teams on this this over-under thing. I'm leaning towards a lot of teams on their over when it comes to the win total. Okay, so I'll post the win totals up again on the screen. And it is kind of strange because you can have a lot of overs because, you don't play an even schedule. It's not like the NFL. You have a lot of teams that you play and it's unique to you. But still, it's absolutely crazy. At this point, some of my favorite plays are Kentucky over 6.5, Texas A&M over 7.5, and I actually do like Arkansas on the over 6.5. I do. Now, what I don't like is I am on. I got to swallow some juice, right? If I'm taking the over on all 3 of these sides, so it does make me a little nervous when it comes to that. But still, now it is interesting because there are some teams on here that there are some teams on here that I normally do like. Like I have been a little bit higher on Missouri during the Elijah Drinkowitz tenure, but once again, Arkansas gets that game at home. They do. Let's go to DJ Sucker Free. Looking at that schedule, I see the Hogs winning at least 7 if everyone is healthy. Now, DJ Second Free, I actually do need your help on something. If you're actually a DJ, please shoot me a message on social media at Carter the Power. That's Twitter or Instagram. Just my name in the well, actually, you can see it right here. Shoot me a message at Carter the Power. My name right there. I really do need your help on something. I've run into a roadblock. But yeah, I think 7 is here. I do. Now, if KJ Jefferson gets hurt, you're screwed. It's over. That's all there is to it. You're not going to get there. But if he is healthy, he's going to be fine. He is. Now, next thing. When I look at this Arkansas defense, look, I am obviously worried about the front. That is always where things can crumble for Arkansas historically. You do lose Terry Hampton, who was a very solid player for you last year. And yeah, I mean, you do have to worry about teams being able to run the football on you and stopping the run in Travis Williams' new system. And I am a little worried about that if you are an Arkansas fan. You've got some really good offensive lines on the schedule. Going on the road and playing LSU's offensive line, their front should be really freaking good. And they probably had the best set of offensive tackles in the SEC. It's going to be tough. Derek says 6.5 is easy money on the over. There you go. Now, once again, this is just one site's book, right? There could be some movement on this. But as of right now, I have not released my full SEC over-under plays just yet. Last year, once again, every play that I gave, this was when our channel only had like 2 subscribers. It was one of our first videos. Every play that I gave hit, every single one of them, and I gave 7. So this year, these are the ones that I am leaning, okay? Arkansas over, A&M over, Kentucky over, South Carolina. I hate the schedule for them. I am leaning under. But look, if you're a believer in Shane Beamer, you're getting plus money on the over. I understand Vanderbilt's a really sexy pick at 3.5 because they did clear 2.5 pretty easily last year. Obviously, you got that game versus Hawaii and Alabama A&M, so you would like to think that they start 2-0, and then all you have to do is get 2 more victories. That's it. Now, I'm looking at you. Before I get into some more Travis Williams stuff, I want to talk to you about our friends. If you want to play fantasy football with me, and I know you do, okay, the best thing you can do, I'm looking at you, sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Carter. Once you play Underdog Fantasy, where you don't set your lineups, it's best ball fantasy football, you can't beat it. Like, you can't go back to regular fantasy football. I will always do my home league, which is comprised of my friends from Arkansas. But I'm telling you, it's hard to beat Underdog Fantasy. You really, once you start drafting on there, and you can buy in for there's a Chihuahua tournament going on, buy in for $4, you can win $20,000 just from one draft. Just from one draft. $4 can turn into $20,000. One draft, you draft, and that's it. Underdog Fantasy. Sign up down below, promo code Carter. Okay? So Joshua is going Vanderbilt and the over. Okay. There you go. Let's pull up Vanderbilt's schedule. Okay. I love the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. RIP Colt Brennan. Here we go. Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. 1-0, 2-0 at Wake Forest, at UNLV. Maybe they clear their win total after the first month. But then it's Murderer's Row. It's all SEC teams. Kentucky, Missouri, at Florida, Georgia, You do get 2 bye weeks late, and you get a bye week to prepare for Tennessee. But, man, I don't know if I see 4 on here, fellas. I don't. I don't know if I do. Sorry. Coastal Carolina in the over. I like that. Going outside the SEC. Now, next thing, I want to pull this up from ESPN Arkansas. Okay. And hit that line.com. Okay. Here's a few things from Sam Pittman's press conference from earlier today. He said at tight end, I feel a lot better about tight end than I did going into camp. A little bit of linebacker. He said his biggest concern is linebacker. Okay. Nothing is happening in the SEC. Sam Pittman says how the landscape of college football is changing. And he followed up here. Well, installation-wise, he feels Arkansas is about 75 or 80% on both sides of the football on what they're going to install. In the early portion of next week, they're going to finish install. Very interesting. You know, different coaches have different philosophies. Some coaches don't really do their install until like 2 weeks before the game, right? And we're roughly 3 weeks before the game. Some waiting until the week before the game to actually start drafting. Derek says, I can't draft. I lost power for the last 3 hours and you need Wi-Fi. Well, that's why you're here, man. I'm part of the power. I can send you power. Just Venmo me $1,000. I'll pay your whole electricity bill. Oh, man. Let's see. Next thing I want to get to is the defense. Okay. Let me pull up this really quickly. I know there's a lot of pressure on Landon Jackson to perform. But and again, is he really somebody that's a difference maker? Another LSU transfer. In the comment section right now, tell me who you feel is the best, and I really do mean it. Who do you feel is the best player on defense? Let me know. I would probably say Dwight McGlothern. I'd probably say Dwight. Nudie. Chris Paul? Johnny, I got something sad to tell you, man. Fights happen in every practice. It's just LSU gives a ton of access to their practice. Let's get to a few of these. Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU under. Okay. Let's see. I do like Christopher Paul. He tore a lot of people up with this blitzing last year. Okay, so let's go through these win totals. Let's get to Mike. Johnny says, I feel like they don't happen at Arkansas. Oh, boy. You want some fighting. Like, you don't want an all-out brawl, but you want some competitiveness, right? And at LSU, it wasn't a brawl. They had a few skirmishes, but it's hot, right? What you don't want, though, are penalties. All right, let's go to each one of these over-under plays here from Mike and M. I like that. What's up, Mike and M? It's all good, Johnny. Richard, we'll talk about some Christopher Paul in just a second. And Tennessee under. Okay. Let's go through Tennessee's schedule. Tennessee under the win total. Okay. Let's go and go through Tennessee's schedule. Now, I agree. I am leaning towards the under on Tennessee. Virginia is a mess. Their head coach hire was a disaster. And I think they get throttled by Tennessee week 1. Austin P, that's a W. Florida, that's a W. Now, UTSA is a very tricky game, right? A lot of you Arkansas people are very familiar with UTSA because Jeff Traylor, who was a part of the Morris regime, has actually done a really good job getting University of Texas San Antonio running. And then you get South Carolina, okay? So, first month of the season, it's not the softest, but it's not too hard. But this is where it gets interesting. They have to play Texas A&M. They do get a bye week before that. You get back-to-back road games here versus Alabama and Kentucky. You get a tricky UConn team in Knoxville. And then at Missouri, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. So the win total is at 9.5. And I need to avoid 3 losses on this schedule. Man, I think I'm staying away from that. I would lean towards the under. I would. But I think I'm staying away from that. Okay. Let's get to the next one Mike wants to break down here. Again, I would not play something unless you are confident that it's going to hit. Okay. And one of my favorite plays last year was actually Missouri. And even though they barely got over, they had a bunch of bad luck, right? Let's go to Ole Miss. Their win total is at 7.5. And the over has the juice. Okay. So let's go through Ole Miss's schedule. Want to know Mercer? At Tulane is by far the most fascinating non-conference game in the SEC this year. Not even close to anybody else. That includes Alabama and Texas. That includes LSU and Florida State. We knew that those games were coming. What we did not know, and what Ole Miss did not know, was the Fighting Willie Fritzes would have a Tulane Green Wave team that will likely be favored versus Ole Miss in this game. Okay. You get Georgia Tech at home, so I think that's a 2-1 start. I like Tulane to win that game. And then you're at Alabama, 2-2. You have LSU coming to Ole Miss, 2-3. And you have Arkansas coming to Ole Miss, a team you have not stopped once in the Lane Kiffin era. Okay? Not a single time. Folks, I could see a 2-4 start here. You don't have quarterback clarity. Now, you do have a lot of talent in that quarterback room. And you did get that Louisville transfer linebacker. I think he's a really good player. But, man, that doesn't include that you have to play Georgia at the end of the season. I might lean towards the under. 7.5 is a little low for a guy in Lane Kiffin who's been really good at Ole Miss. But the one thing we've seen with Lane is he doesn't handle adversity well, right? You had the soft start to the schedule, and after that soft start, the team just did not play well. They did not play well in their bowl game either. I don't know, y'all. I might agree with Mike. On this under. Well, I won't do LSU because I talk about LSU all the time. So Johnny wants to talk some Landon Jackson. Let's do it. Don't forget you can super chat, hang out, all the good time. What's up, Jacob?
Hey, man. How you doing tonight?
Man, where all are you writing now, man?
Well, for now, I just started with Sports Illustrated and All Hogs, being a reporter and write for them a little bit. And then, obviously I'm still with Hog Country as a site. I would say supervisor because I've got plenty of good guys under me, and they're going to be able to pick up the slack when I'm starting to focus more on Saturday or whatever it's called, Sports Illustrated. Man, it's crazy how a small town El Dorado boy can jump all the way to Sports Illustrated. It's incredible, and a lot of hard work's going into it. All I can do is praise the Lord.
Oh, you got it. That's all you can do, man. The 870 repping. I love it, baby.
That's right. That's
Go
right.
Wildcats.
Yes, sir. Crazy.
Your thoughts, obviously you cover the team.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're able to go to practice. I doubt it. But just based on what you've seen from practice reports, what has been standing out to you?
Okay. Landon Jackson, obviously, he's going to be a freak. I would be surprised if he goes under 7-8 sacks this season.
Okay.
He's incredible. Like running at 20, he's the way they have listed speeds. Arkansas's got a new strength coach, Ben Souders, and he's got 61% of the team running at least 20 miles an hour. I don't know where that stretch is as far as where they're getting that, but top speed, a lot of them is going at 20. And Landon Jackson's one of them. He was 18 and a half, 19 miles an hour running last year at 6'7", 240. I think he was running around 230, 240. He's 285 pounds now. Like, that's just freakish size, like freakish growth in a matter of 4 or 5 months of the offseason. I think he's a guy that you're going to see and be impressed with. He makes offensive linemen throw fits there for the Razorbacks. I think you've obviously saw Rocket Sanders. I mean, he's solidified himself as RB1. AJ Green's also there. I think he's pretty much got a stranglehold on number 2, and then Rashad Dominion, he's number 3, and then Jimmy Smith, the running back coach, also said that Isaiah Gustave is a solid 5th or 6th option. He's a true freshman coming in, I think from Naples, Florida, 6'2", 190, top 150 player in the country. And then I'm trying to think of Dominique Johnson, who was a bell cow, 6'2", 250. They said he was making good cuts in practice too. So if you got 6 guys to feed, and I'm sure you're not going to be able to feed all 6 of them at one time in one game. I think they're going to figure out a good three-man rotation and roll with it. I'm trying to think of Andrew Armstrong, the transfer out of Texas A&M Commerce. He's a guy that is going to play wide receiver. He came in, I think he was 6'4", 185. They got him listed now at 6'4", 210. He's a wide receiver, finally got that SEC size. So I think he was running 20 miles an hour, 21 miles an hour, and then you have a group of 5 players that are running 22 miles an hour. AJ Green's one of them. I can't think off the top of my head who all the other guys are, but they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. Obviously, that's what Kanye says, but it's true. I mean, these guys they're bigger, faster, and stronger right now. Does that equate to more SEC wins? Does that help them in the fourth quarter when they're in close games? I don't know. But there seems to be a little bit of optimism coming out of Fayetteville these days. I think that Sam Pittman prefers to be under the radar, kind of like they were in 2021.
Yeah, and that's where they are right now. For people that aren't familiar, obviously Travis Williams, and we've had a few Auburn viewers spike our channel recently. Obviously Auburn's very familiar with him, and he's getting his chance, right, to be the guy, to call the shots. This is a dream, calling shots in the SEC. How do you feel about this defense? How do you think it's going to change from Barry Odom to where we are now?
Well, they joked around about cover 0 during SEC media days. I doubt we see much of that, maybe on certain situations. I'm really excited to see the more aggressive, more pressure defense. Obviously, it goes away from the Barry Odom style, the bend don't break, and that's basically all they've got. They have recruited well at the defensive position throughout the offseason, adding transfers in. They added 20 20 transfers in this season. I expect them to probably start about 60% of them. A lot of them are going to be on the backside of the defense in the secondary. And the secondary is where that issue was last year, Carter. They just could not stop the pass. I mean, if they found a crease over 10 or 15 yards, it was almost just, all right, just let them go to the house. Like, they were going to lay in the crib with the Arkansas Razorbacks, and they weren't even going to pay rent. That's how that's how Arkansas secondary was last year. You get away with anything. So, I think you've got Al Walcott back there commanding at safety. I think he's going to be your first team guy. He's obviously the former safety at Baylor under the Auburn defense coordinator now. I can't quite remember his name, but he played under him there at Baylor. And then you've got Larondo Snacks Johnson. I think he's going to be a guy that maybe starts at the opposite corner, probably taking McAdoo's place, who got injured earlier in the summer in a car wreck. He hurt a couple of vertebrae. So, not sure he's going to be back yet this year. Probably be back next year for 100% recovery. But that Snacks is probably going to be the guy there at the other safety. And then you got Nickelback. That's going to be a question there. Who's going to be able to cover there? But I think you've got a pretty good nucleus there in the secondary. Regarding injuries, though, I think you're better suited. You've got Keon Stewart there, who was a defensive back for TCU last season. He's got plenty of experience there in the Big 12. Trying to think of who else. There was A.J. Brathwaite, who was a transfer from Western Kentucky. He wasn't really highly touted, but he provides you some depth. He's got the FBS experience there. So I'm really looking forward to him. Obviously, you've got Kiwi Rose. They have provided a lot of depth at defensive line. I think they go 11 deep that amongst all four positions on the line. They're going to be attacking more of a 4-2-5 front. So they add in the secondary and add in more bodies in the line, and I think that's where they needed the growth on defense there. So really excited about them. John Morgan's another guy. I don't expect him to maybe really start much. I think he's going to be a rotation player. But I think as far as like if you're going to start talking about the top 11 players on defense, I'll go ahead and just say this, and then I'll let it get back to you.
No, take your time, man.
Yeah, I think you got Jeff Coate at defensive end, Landon Jackson starting at the other defensive end. Your two defensive linemen or interior defensive linemen, I think you're going to have Tank Booker, the Maryland transfer, and you'll probably have Cam Ball, rotation of Cam Ball, Nico Davier, and Marcus Henderson from Warren. And there's one other guy that Kiwi Rose. I think those four guys are going to rotate at the defensive tackle position. Linebacker wise, you've got Chris Pupal. He just was listed in the watch list for the Buckus Award. It goes to the top linebacker every year. I think he's going to be your leading tackler this season. He's gotten faster. He's gotten bigger. A guy he was the fifth or sixth leading tackler on the team last year, and he didn't even start until the Liberty Bowl. So if that shows you how much he's played recently, I think he ended like 65 tackles, 8.5 tackles for a loss, and 6 sacks in limited duty last year, which is, I think those numbers will go up, especially in the sacks and tackles for a loss category. Then you've got Antonio Greer coming over from South Florida. And then you have Jaheim Thomas from Cincinnati, who played for their college football playoff team a couple of seasons ago. And then the other starter, I think, is going to be either Jordan Crook. He's going to be a true sophomore. He's from Carthage, Texas. So he's more of an undersized guy, 6'1", 205, 210. But they like these smaller guys at linebacker. To be honest with you, they like guys that can move fast and cover a lot of space. So I think you're going to see a little bit more activity there at the linebacker position for Arkansas in 2023.
So yesterday we did a video called the quarterback safety rankings, right?
Yeah.
The likelihood that your quarterback will end the season as a starter. And obviously KJ Jefferson is my number one quarterback in the SEC. I think he's great. And also that's a part of the rankings is how good is your backup. Okay.
Right.
So I'm from Arkansas and my phone blew up when Jacoby Criswell made the decision to come back. Now, this is what's scary, Jacob, because with transfers, we can go pull up some Cincinnati film. We could go pull up some film of some of these guys and kind of get an idea, Jeff Cota, Missouri, who they are. But at quarterback, it's a leap of faith. So give me your thoughts on Criswell, because we all know KJ Jefferson's great. Let's just say KJ were to get hurt again. Do you feel more comfortable about your backup quarterback situation?
I'm very comfortable with the backup quarterback. I'm even more comfortable with a third string guy because Arkansas played 4 guys at quarterback last year, and you just really didn't know what you're going to get.
Right.
You know, and Criswell, he's more of a calming, provides a calming aspect to this team. He's 6'1", 230 guy from North Carolina who sat behind 2 fantastic quarterbacks, guys. Sam Howell, the quarterback at Washington Reds. Oh no, not the Redskins. Sorry, the Washington. What are they? The Commanders now. Yeah. He played a few games there. He started at North Carolina, and Criswell backed him up. And then when Criswell looked like he was going to be the guy, Drake May comes along, Mister.
Right.
The May family. North Carolina's like biggest family when it comes to they're the first family actually when it comes to Carolina ball. Like whether it's football or basketball, they have greats lined up. So Criswell sat behind him. He was behind Coach, was it Ringo or Wingo? He ended up going up to Wisconsin as their offensive coordinator. He goes to Arkansas. So I think he's really
Phil
mature.
Longo.
Yeah. I can't remember
keep going.
You know, when you're not in the SEC, you don't really think about those guys. Phil Longo. But anyways, when you have Criswell sitting behind a really good offensive coordinator, a really offensive driven football team. Now you move him to Arkansas, and then he's probably going to ended up being the starter. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in week 1 and 2, and maybe the Florida International game. I don't want to see him much. I want to see KJ up right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I think you think about the last time Arkansas had a 1-2 punch at quarterback was during the Petrino era with Mallett and Wilson. This doesn't really compare. This is a whole different quarterback room because these 2 guys are dual threats. But as far as depth, this is probably the best depth they've had in a long time.
Yeah, and I like the what is Malachi Singleton? I like him.
Oh yeah, he's 6'1", 235. Like, and he can run. He's faster than KJ. A guy that can really turn up.
So I look at the schedule, and if you cover Arkansas each and every week like you do, okay, I wouldn't consider Arkansas' schedule last year the toughest, but there were no real guaranteed wins. Like your most guaranteed victory was against Missouri State against Bobby Petrino. Part of the reason, because I did like the under last year on the win total for Arkansas. Right. But this year, I am leaning the over 6.5 because you do get more winnable games to start your season. Yes. And I understand that a lot of people are going to fade this team because of these middle 4 road games. Let's just say you win one of them. And I look at this final month of the season. This looks like one of the better final months of the season. Normally, Novembers are brutal for teams. So when I do a schedule analysis, I think Arkansas can get to 7 and potentially 8. How do you feel about that?
I feel like 8 to 9 wins is manageable this year. You look at those first 3 games, I count them as wins. And you look at the LSU game, it's at Baton Rouge. We know that LSU's stacked. But even with, if you look at the recent history since 2000, I think this series has been almost even except for that stretch from 2016 to 2019. Like, I feel like it's not winnable, but I'm not saying that Arkansas doesn't have a shot in this game.
No, it's
winnable. I feel like
if everything went your way, you could win this game
because it was a 3-point game last year.
Right.
You look at A&M. I think that's a winnable game. I just don't. Everybody's got A&M is going to be the darlings of the SEC. I just don't see it. I feel like something's going to implode and Jimbo's going to be gone. That's just my gut feeling. I don't have anything to back that up with. I just don't think this year is going to be it. I think Ole Miss is winnable. I think the Alabama game, if Alabama doesn't figure out their quarterback issues, I just don't really feel like – I feel like they're at number 6 right now in the coaches poll. I feel like is because of the history of Nick Saban in Alabama. I think they could face a 3 losses this season. I'm not sure who they're going to be to, but I think they could be 3-loss team. Mississippi State is the most questionable team out of the SEC, to be honest with you, because, I mean, they return a lot of talent. They are really, really good in the trenches as always, but going into a different offensive scheme is kind of iffy, and I just don't know if Will Rogers is ready for a pro-style offense. You look at Florida, I think Florida's winnable. Auburn's winnable. FIU and Missouri are winnable. I think Arkansas
Absolutely.
goes 4-0. I think Arkansas goes 4-0 to end the season, 3-0 to start the season, and maybe 1-3. You're in the middle.
They're in that middle, yeah. For that, the
Yeah.
four, yeah. I could see it. I could see it. I'm a little bit more bullish on the Razorbacks than what I initially thought. Now, if you guys have any questions for Jacob before we have to let him go, he's got a family and he's got to take care of them.
Oh yeah.
How many little ones you got?
I've got one, and
You got
she is the
one.
world.
There
I
you
promise
go.
you that she runs the house.
Here's what I'll say. All right, I saw a tweet about this recently that this could be the deepest Arkansas team that they've had since some of these teams that Bielema had, when they really were deep. Do you feel that way? Because I don't know the roster as well as you do, but do you think this is a true too deep?
I think they're way deeper than any Bielema team has ever been.
Oh,
and that's because of the transfer portal.
Okay.
I think the transfer portal has been a blessing in disguise. Like this is probably going to be the deepest team since 2012. And I know 2012 was not a very good season, but a lot of that had to do with Petrino being fired, John L. Smith being the head coach. You had a lot of returners for that and that team. And before Petrino was fired, like USC and Arkansas, I remember a interview with Kirk Herbstreit, and he said Arkansas and USC were the two teams to beat going into that next season in 2012. I don't know if they would have ended up living up to those expectations, but I think this team has the chance to be, as deep as 2012.
Okay. Look at that. Yeah. Jacob's getting the people pumped up for the season. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really trying to pump them up too big, but I'm still saying, like, I just don't think this team is – I think this team is a lot deeper at every position, but I'm not ready to say a win total yet just because I have been fooled before.
Please go follow him on Twitter. Are you going to the LSU game?
I'm going to try to. It depends.
Let me know, man. I'll be there. LSU, Arkansas, week 4. I miss it on Thanksgiving. Do you miss it on Thanksgiving?
Dude, man, I miss that game being Thanksgiving. I don't know about y'all, but it just feels weird watching A&M and LSU instead of Arkansas LSU. And it's been 10 years.
I know. It hurts. It hurts my soul, obviously. And if you are from El Dorado, you know how much that game means to people in South Arkansas and North Louisiana. But go support Jacob. Obviously, a new venture here at Jacob Scott Davis. The writing is still all going to be the same. So check him out at Jacob Scott Davis on Twitter. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for
having me. All right, buddy. Take care, Carter.
All right, buddy. Cheers.
See ya.
Hey, he went. The camera fell. The camera just went out. That looked like a I'm ready for dinner camera roll right there. I love it. So, lots of good stuff in there. Isaac Tesla is going to be electric. Mike and him. I'll tell you this, that guy's highlight tape with the one-hand catches is truly freaking insane. I could see it. Tarian Carter. Okay. Pooh Paul. That is such a good nickname. Pooh Paul. I like that. I do. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. Now, here's what I'll say. Do you Razorback fans like the 6 p.m. Thursday live stream? Because, look, you guys have supported the SEC channel more than anyone else. Okay? Now, my LSU people, of course. But that's more from Power Hour LSU, my main thing. But do you guys like the 6 p.m. Thursday night live stream because I'll make it a permanent thing. I could. We could keep going 6 p.m. on Thursdays. There you go. Johnny Jones. You probably didn't know, but LSU had a basketball coach named Johnny Jones. And he also coached at LSU actually 2 times. Let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to get to here? My lovely little prep sheet. Yeah, I really do mean it because last year I took the under with Arkansas. I'm starting to talk myself into the over. Okay. And look, I'm always straight up. I feel like authenticity is the most important thing when you do a YouTube channel. I am not an Arkansas fan, so you're going to get an objective view of the Razorbacks. Okay. Well, no, Johnny, nobody's good. Nobody's good as Eric Musselman in the SEC right now when it comes to basketball coaching. I truly do mean that. I think he's the best coach in the SEC right now. Let me see. I'm just trying to think. Do I really want to place the over bet on the Razorbacks? Do I? But I feel like authenticity is important. I am an LSU grad. I'm from Baton Rouge, but I did go to high school in Arkansas. And let's see, my best man in my wedding lives in Conway. I think a lot of you are familiar with Conway. And another groomsman in my wedding lives in Fayetteville. It's a very successful dentist in Fayetteville. And my other really good friend is also a dentist in Fayetteville. And I would say a good majority of my inner circle lives in Northwest Arkansas. So look, I've always kept up with Arkansas. I used to do a radio show in Arkansas. So I'm not gonna say I like the team, but I want them to do well. But when you come to Baton Rouge, LSU is going to spank the Razorbacks. And that's likely to be a night game. I think that will be a night game. And if it's a night game, it's going to get nasty. If the Hogs come out of 2 of those 4, the Hogs are looking great. If they win 2 of those 4 road games, you're probably en route to the best season you've ever had in the modern era. Actually, no, I won't say that because you did go to a Sugar Bowl under Petrino. I don't know if you'll get to that level. But yeah, I think people are pulling for you. Now, one more thing I'll say, and I'm just going to say this to every single SEC fan I could find. What I want each and every one of you to do. All right. I'm looking at you, Johnny. I'm looking at Joshua. I'm looking at whoever you are. Whether your name is Mike and you live in Whitehall, or your name is Jonathan and you live in Eureka Springs. God forbid your name is Chris and you live in Jonesboro. I don't care wherever you're watching this. And I didn't mean to take a shot at Jonesboro. But there are too many people named Chris in Arkansas. Everybody in Arkansas knows somebody named Chris. What's up, Kale Well? Welcome. I want you to enjoy this final college football season, no matter who you are. Johnny's in Jonesboro. Then why are you not a Red Wolf fan? I'm kidding. It's amazing like how many more Arkansas fans are in Jonesboro than there are Arkansas State fans. ASU sucks? ASU sucks? You can't say that. ASU's produced 3 of Auburn's coaches. Dang, why do people turn on Jonesboro? Come on, man. The Fighting Butch Joneses need your love and support. I mean, Jonesboro's got an Arby's, though, right? That's all you need in life. So, Kale, are you from Benton? Man, I had some legendary battles with Benton. Legendary. That's way back when. Both in football and soccer. But I do want to share this with you. Okay. There you go. Man, I got to be honest. Benton's high school facilities may be, it's definitely top 5 in the state of Arkansas. What y'all have done to that place, dear freaking Lord. Benton's facilities, dear Lord. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. You can't be mad about that. Bryant's Bryant, you know. It's kind of weird they changed coaches, though, I think. Now, but no, like, I'm glad I'm not just making this up. This high school Benton, it's not like, it would be different if this was like in Northwest Arkansas and you had like these gajillionaires there. But Benton, their facility, dude, it is nuts. It is freaking nuts. I've called now when I played, they didn't have that. It was kind of run down. So that tells you how old I am, because those facilities have been around for a while. Yeah, but I like Bryant Benton area. I go to the card shop there every now and then. Shout out my guy Mike. Now, here's what I'll say. Okay. What I want each and every one of you guys to do, and gals, I want you to enjoy this final college football season. I want you to. Okay. We will be live here next Thursday night at 6 for another Razorback show. But we'll talk everything SEC. How about that? But the reason why I want you to really enjoy this season is because after this year is when you're really going to start seeing people and their lives drastically change with realignment. Okay. But more so than realignment, when the college football playoff stretches to 12, the sport will forever change. Now, I know as an Arkansas fan, you probably like a 12-team playoff because it does give you a better shot of getting in, but it doesn't at the same time give you a better shot of winning it. Okay? So I got to be real. Enjoy this final season here, because this will be the final season of the purest form of college football, where each and every regular season game matters. And I hate that. As someone with a soccer background, once you learn how overseas, how they determine who the champions are, it's crazy. Now, KLOL wants to talk some Texas. I was at that 2021 game, and the atmosphere was the craziest thing I've ever been a part of. So he was at the Arkansas-Texas game in 2021. Now, what's interesting about that, Kale, is it looks like you're younger, so that makes the old schoolers happy. That makes the 60-plus crowd really happy that Arkansas and Texas are playing again, because that's back in the Southwest Conference days. The Frank Broyles, Barry Switzer, Jerry Jones days. So you're 17. There you go. So the old schoolers really like that. And as you can see, the next generation likes it as well. Arkansas, Texas is a very real rivalry. I hope Texas, when they come in, their permanent schools are, if we go to a 9 game, I hope it's Arkansas, A&M, and whoever else. It doesn't matter. But I think those two have got to be in there. They do. Oh, yeah, Oklahoma. So, Arkansas, man, that would be perfect if Arkansas played Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M every year. Man. I'm going to need your help, Arkansas fans, though. Mm. You don't like Arkansas, Mizzou? It's forced, but I think it'll grow into something. One thing that you do have going for you is that game is played on a Friday. That's a good thing. Jalen Hurts, he's kind of good. Well, all right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll be live again next Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central. So we'll see you then. We'll dive a little bit deeper. Hopefully we'll have another guest on. Please go follow Jacob Scott Davis on Twitter. He's obviously super sharp if you want extra Arkansas analysis. I'm coming at this from a neutral perspective. And it's all good, man. Just come next Thursday. Tell your friends. Young, old, it doesn't matter. Next Thursday. Okay? We got a blocker to take care of Perkins this year. Johnny, you don't. That would be like me saying, hey, we got a linebacker to stop Darren McFadden. That's exactly what you said. Right? There's no stopping Harold Perkins. You can only hope to contain him. That's just facts. Hey, Drewski meme. I gotta be real. I'm just telling you. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. It is Power Hour SEC. Boom. We'll see you next Thursday. If you're on social media, I'm on Twitter, Instagram at Carter the Power. I know Kale the Whale. Y'all are big on Instagram, Twitter. That is my Twitter handle. Please give me a follow. And it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much. But yes, we will be live tonight on the other channel. PHL, baby. Oh, you like that, Mike? I appreciate it. You want to know what, Mike? True story. I spent a month on that. I found that research to be so interesting. So make sure y'all check it out. Let's go.